Opinion Operation Sindoor proves India must stand alone to end Pakistan's terror empire. The aftermath of Operation Sindoor has revealed an uncomfortable reality for India. Despite years of exposing Pakistan as a state sponsor of terrorism, New Delhi finds itself hyphenated with Islamabad when the stakes are highest. Leading this campaign of rehyphenating India and Pakistan is US President Donald Trump, who evidently has no real knowledge of the Indian subcontinent. Trump's incessant claims of leveraging trade to effectuate a ceasefire between New Delhi and Islamabad have exposed America as the unreliable partner that it is. After all, the only role America played in the recent flare-up was receiving desperate Pakistani calls pushing for a ceasefire. When it became clear to Field Marshal Asim Munir that India would tolerate no third-party mediation, he got his DGMO to plead directly with India for a ceasefire. In the days leading up to Operation Sindoor, the world was largely supportive of India's right to defend itself. Perhaps what had not dawned on the global powers that be was the scale of Operation Sindoor. For the first time since 1971, India penetrated deep into Pakistani territory and struck not just terror hubs but military installations as well. Obviously, this caused heavy damage to Pakistan's Chinese and American-supplied air assets, which triggered a frantic effort to get India to back down. The world's adrenaline rush was quick to die down. From claiming to support India's fight against terrorism, the West quickly shifted gears to seeking de-escalation. While Indian forces acted with surgical precision to neutralize targets across Pakistan, the familiar chorus from Western capitals was one of restraint. A tired, generic appeal conveniently addressed to both sides. This, even as these very liberal democracies continue their strategic courtship of Islamabad, driven by geopolitical expediencies that consistently surpass any genuine concern for the victims of Pakistani-sponsored terror. Consider how Trump is claiming to be working out big deals not just with India, but Pakistan too. This is a galling spectacle, lecturing India on de-escalation while simultaneously enabling the very state that perpetuates the cycle of violence. The silence, or worse, the equivocating pronouncements from these nations, stand in stark contrast to the unambiguous support offered by a select few. Israel, a nation intimately familiar with the scourge of terrorism and the necessity of decisive self-defense, stood firmly with New Delhi. Armenia, understanding the brutal realities of hostile neighbors and international indifference, also offered its solidarity. The case of Armenia is particularly interesting. India is one of Armenia's major arms suppliers, which has bolstered the country's strength against Azerbaijan and Turkey. Meanwhile, Russia, with its own complex security calculus and a long-standing strategic partnership with India, provided a degree of backing that, while perhaps nuanced, was notably distinct from the West's tepid boilerplate. Others, like Japan and France, were relatively more perceptive to India's view, but to say we expected more from a host of our partner countries would not be an overstatement. This divergence is illuminating. It reveals that shared democratic values, often touted by the West, become remarkably flexible when confronted with the hard realities of strategic interests and the convenient utility of a client state like Pakistan. For decades, India has presented dossier after dossier, evidence upon irrefutable evidence, of Pakistan's role as the global epicenter of terror. Yet, the international community, particularly the West, has largely chosen to look the other way, preferring to engage with the architects of terror rather than isolate them. Consider the fact that no country apart from India appeared to have strong reservations over the International Monetary Fund disbursing $1 billion to Pakistan in the immediate aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack. The lesson from Operation Sindoor and its diplomatic fallout is not one of despair, but of clarity. India can no longer afford to predicate its security on the fickle conscience or strategic whims of distant powers. The expectation that others will fight our battles, or even unequivocally support our right to defend ourselves against a terror-exporting state, is a dangerous illusion. This realization, however, is not a burden but an emancipation. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the philosophy of Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India, has permeated every facet of national life, from economic policy to defense manufacturing. This very self-reliance must now become the bedrock of our strategic doctrine. If the world chooses to prioritize its geopolitical chess games over India's legitimate security concerns, then India will chart its own course, secure its own borders, and deliver justice for its people on its own terms. I argue that this is good for India in the long term. Our history is replete with instances where we have faced monumental challenges with courage and resilience. Our burgeoning economy, our modernizing military, and, most importantly, the indomitable spirit of our people are India's greatest assets. The so-called Pakistan problem is not just India's problem, it is a cancer that has metastasized, threatening regional stability and global peace. Yet, if the world's powers are content with palliative care and moral equivocation, then India must be prepared to undertake the necessary surgery, alone if need be. Swipe left for next video. The path ahead will demand steely resolve, continued strengthening of our intelligence and defense capabilities, and a diplomatic posture that is assertive and unapologetic in its pursuit of national interest. We must cultivate deeper partnerships with nations that genuinely understand our predicament and are willing to stand with us on principle, not convenience. Ultimately though, the primary responsibility lies with us. Operation Sindoor was a resounding success. Its strategic implication is the undeniable truth that India's destiny, especially in its quest to neutralize the threat from Pakistan's terror empire, is its own to right. When the time comes for a final reckoning with this persistent, state-sponsored campaign of terror, it will be India that scripts the end of Pakistan's reign as a sanctuary for global jihad. The world may watch, it may comment, it may even wring its hands, but the action, and its triumph, will be India's, and India's alone. Latest blogs.